Yeah, so I was saying like ever since the pandemic started, I haven't really frequented the grocery store because of Instacart. So like, there's so many different ways to make money or buy your time back, in today's society.
Right.
Um, and I use Instacart, $100 a year, $35 minimum delivery, and I use it for my groceries, and I also, use it for the Airbnb business when I need to deliver stuff, whether it's in another state, another city, etc., or if I just can't make it to a property.
So the $35 delivery joint, that's no delivery fee. But you're saying that they mark up the prices and stuff.
Yeah, so from what I see, and I even think it was like a class action lawsuit against Instacart or DoorDash, about how, they were taking the riders' tips and stuff like that. But I've noticed, like, if you go in there, it'll say one price, but you can go in the grocery store and it'll be different. So, like we were saying, one of the most recent things I do, since I live walking distance to a grocery store now, I found it more cost effective to go and purchase ingredients to cook a couple meals for like 2 to 3, for like a day or two. And then now I notice I'm spending less money, and then I'm also creating new meals and cooking fresh meals too based on the ingredients I have.
Type shit. The only issue is that with it being the Wegmans and having that price markup.
No taxation without representation.
So it's like, are you really saving any money doing that?
Yeah, it depends on what you buy. So like, I just bought some tortillas. However you pronounce tortillas.
That is some American ignorant bullshit.
Tortillas, okay? That's a silent.
That's a silent.
And a pound of wild caught shrimp. Usually I buy frozen shrimp, farm raised shrimp. But either way, it was a pound of shrimp. A large shrimp, it probably was like 16, 17 shrimp. If I'm making tacos, 2 shrimp on a taco, 2, 3 shrimp on a taco. That's a meal.
Scampy with the shrimp.
I'm about to say you're rationing.
I mean, I'm looking at the taco. I mean, it just all depends. Like, I mean, that's a good point. So,
at
like,
least you got a system though. Like McDonald's, they got a system.
And it's supposed to last for the night for 2 people to eat, and potentially a lunch for 1 or 2 people tomorrow. But even better, we got Restaurant Depot around the corner. So that's what I believe in. Like buying stuff in wholesale, buying stuff in bulk, and then busting it down in different meals.
I noticed that some items that you can get a better deal at Costco than you can at Restaurant Depot. For instance, steak. Like, I would eat steak. At one point when I was really meal prepping, this is what I got to get back into. I was eating steak for breakfast, steak and eggs for breakfast, and then I would eat steak, rice, and vegetables for lunch, and then I would eat salmon, rice, and vegetables for dinner. And my meals were at like $3.81. And I was eating 3 square meals, like 3 solid meals a day. But I realized I could go get more steak and salmon at Costco for that price than I could at Restaurant Depot. But the problem is that you got to be careful because, like, there's something coming out, and I don't know how true it is, but it was just a video where it's like the salmon at Costco be, janky sometimes. Like, it'll have, like, parasites or worms in it and stuff like that. It was a video where it's like they like zoomed in. It's like, yo, nah, this is real. So I guess you would just have to like clean it, but I don't know how you would clean that.
It's like everything janky nowadays when it comes to food, for real.
I mean, but that's the thing with food though. Parasites, all bacteria die at a certain degree. So when you're cooking it, the bacteria should die.
And a lot of fish have parasite in it, but like, so like I used to have like a catering business called Wavy Plates. And I used to, that's one of the first entrepreneur things I did until I threw out my back no homes with a 40-pound case of chicken. About to put it in my car. I don't know how that happened.
What?
Crazy. But anyway, I used to like sell salmon dinners, Cajun salmon Alfredo. And like, you can buy like, with numbers probably way different now, but you could buy frozen fillets maybe a whole case of them, and it may come with 23 pieces of salmon. And you may pay like 120, I think,
Right.
120, 130, right? And when you bust that down, I don't know the math off the top of my head, but it was like $4, $4 to $5 a piece of salmon. And if you're selling the salmon for $20 each,
Right.
it's like it's a flip. But even meal prepping, right? That's frozen salmon. Then you could go to the actual seafood department where they have a whole slab of salmon,
Yeah, yeah.
and it may be $30, but it's the whole damn near half of the salmon.
Right.
And then you just bust that joint down in your own size
Yeah,
fillets.
that's what I was doing.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah, because I like I said, I go and get the 5-pound bag of jasmine rice. That joint's gonna last you a solid like month.
And I just paid $5 for some.
Right. So you go get the salmon because that rice
Yes,
gonna
sir.
last you. Rice and pasta gonna last you. Then you get the I would go to like Walmart or Costco and get the mixed vegetables. Just so I could get that and then like I said, the steak was like $30-$40 for like a solid week worth of steak. Like 2 times a day. Like you good off that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's like you gotta remind yourself to eat, and it's like you gotta watch what you eat too. But it's all about finding that balance. Because meal prepping is a job in itself. Eating out is a job in itself. Both are expensive, whether it's time or money you're spending. Like I listen to Steve Harvey a lot, right? And one thing he said, you should write down 300 things that you want in life. Like write them joints down. And I started my list, and one thing I wrote on there, I want a personal chef, like a nutritionist and a personal chef. And the reason being is because now that's 3 less things I have to worry about. 3 meals I have to worry about. I know it's nutritious. I know who cooked it. I know, like that would be so fire.
Did I talk to you about this when I was in Puerto Rico? When I was just like, yo, I could just like pay for somebody.
Yeah.
Because it was really put in perspective because I was like, yo, look, take it as you will, but when I seen the minimum wage over there, I was like, oh, this is a lot less than what is over here, right? It's almost what you would pay a virtual assistant, basically. And I was just like, yo, by the time that person's over there is getting 40 hours worth of work, they are working like they working hard. Like I came across this one girl, she was fine, boy, she was fine. And she said she would work from like 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day, 6 days a week, 6 days a week out of 7.
Doing what?
She was like at a cafeteria or something like that. And I was just like, that's crazy because you're still not getting paid that much. But I was just like, there's certain people who would love cooking, right? And I just thought about it. I was like, yo, I could really have like a personal assistant whose main job is to cook meals, laundry, and run errands, right? And it's like at that point, it's just like, oh, well, you want a slave? It's like, nah, not really. It's just that I want to value my time that much more because I get to think of it this way. Outside of work and your hobbies and stuff, majority of your time is really spent cooking, cleaning, and organizing your space, right? Imagine what that would be like if you got that time back.
What about sleeping be one as well, correct?
I mean, yeah. I mean, the obvious.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to sleep.
Right.
But I'm saying outside of the obvious, think about how much time it takes you to cook, right? Think about how much time it takes you to wash clothes, to fold clothes, to put do all that stuff. And think about how much time it takes you to go and run simple errands. Like now, if you got a girlfriend, she's gonna love running errands anyway. So it's just like, yo, I need this. I'll just add to the list and I'll just send you the bread and whatever.
You just gave me an idea. I'm moving to South America because in
Slow your roll, buddy. Slow your roll.
In South America, you can. Let's talk about economies of scale. Let's talk about that. So like you went to Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and you out there for a month, and you just said like when you're out there, you thought like, dang, I could hire a chef, or I could hire based on what the wages are out there.
Yeah.
It's not a slave; it's paying for work, right?
Right.
So like, what I like about South America, and it's all different places, but when I went over there, the second we touched down, our money was like 5x
Yeah.
out the gate. And it just made me think like, okay, if I come over here with a stack, I instantly got 5. If I come over there with 20, I instantly got 100. I come over with 100, I got 5. And it's like,
Your money goes a lot further.
and then like over there, it's custom. Like we go to the Airbnb, and we have a personal chef. Like that's her job. Run to the grocery store, we give her money. She cook our meals, service, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
Or we had a housemaid that was an old sweet lady that slept on the premises and washed all the clothes, cleaned up, made all the beds, and it's like you can pay that same money over there and have all of that. So you can focus on strengthening your strengths.
Yeah.
And what I realize is it's like a lot of like cliche people or cliche saying it's like you got to focus on your weaknesses, right? But what I'm realizing when you start to realize what money or trading value for value, you use your money to pay for somebody who that strength is. Like, yeah, and that's pretty much it. And we could talk about that. Like having somebody that do your laundry, that has been one of the most life-changing things that I had the past couple years.
Yeah. It used to be called Such Share, but now it's called
Such share. They switched it to something.
P something.
All right, that is definitely the goal, but like a lot of our listeners are just starting out, right? So let's try and discuss though, like how did you start out being an entrepreneur, and what was your goal when you became an entrepreneur?
That led up to this point where
Exactly.
you can have those things.
All right, I guess I'll go first. So I think the first time I realized I was an entrepreneur was in 3rd grade. And the reason being was anime was popping. I didn't even know it was anime back then, but it was Dragon Ball Z. And I remember
A lot of our first introduction to anime.
I didn't even know that was anime, but Pokemon
Dragon
and all that.
Ball
But Dragon Ball Z.
Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon.
I'm about to say,
yeah.
I didn't care for Dragon Ball Z.
Man,
Really?
I fuck with Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yo, I've never heard that before.
And Dragon Ball Z was so popping in my elementary school, niggas used to print off pictures and trace them and draw them in school and show you walk around with Vegeta, Gotenks, all types of shit, right? It was this dude, I ain't gonna name drop him, but this dude, my mom used to let me print off pictures at the church. She worked at the church. I print off pictures, right? And I come to school with all the vicious pictures with color ink. I don't like so.
This man was pimping
I'm
the church.
serious. So I start selling fucking Dragon Ball Z photos at school, and this dude gives me $100 bill for 2 Dragon Ball Z photos.
Wow.
In 3rd grade?
In 3rd grade, bruh. I'm walking around with
This
a
is a
little
3rd grader?
wallet. Yeah, he was in my class.
And he gave you $100.
Michael Dow. Shout out Michael Dow.
He gave you $100.
Turned me to a hustler. Shout
He
out
gave you-
Michael Dow.
He got an
yeah.
ass whooping when he got home.
So listen, so this was funny. I'm walking around school the rest of the day with a wallet, faking, flashing my $100 bill to the bras, flipping my little wallet. Had the little fake ass
Was it the Velcro
FBI, another little FBI leather wallet. My father was a principal with leather wallet, faking, right?
Oh, jeez.
I go home. I'm all excited. Yeah, Mom, Dad, can y'all go ahead and put that in my savings account? They're like, where you get this from?
Right.
Find out Michael Dow went in his mother's purse, stole the bread, and that's how he got the bread for. Got in trouble, etc. Right?
Oh, he had to get the money back.
He had to get the money back.
Oh,
So I had to
man.
void myself. I ain't get my pictures back. He already had traced them. Probably stunned them, but it's all good. So that was my first time selling something, and it was a crazy flip. Because back then, I mean, even 3rd grade, it's like fucking selling Bitcoin in the beginning or something, right? So I'm slicing. But like, I think that was one of the first things that like woke up that entrepreneurial spirit in me. And then this endless other stuff after that. But yeah, that was my first time. What about you?
That's a great question.
Thank
I know. I was in I forget what grade that was. And we had, you had like the little candy drive where you gotta start selling candy. And so they gave us like a box of candy bars. Like, all right, cool, it's a fundraiser. You gotta go out and sell the candy and stuff. And Yeah, I couldn't even spell. I couldn't even pronounce half the stuff in the box. Like I was like, yeah, I'm trying to. I was calling my neighbors, friends, and da da da. And I'm like, yeah, I got these things, these red things. It's like, what red things? I was like, I don't know. It says TWIZZ. It's Twizzlers. So I'm over here spelling stuff. 'Cause I don't even know how to pronounce it. Lo and behold, I didn't even make the amount that I needed to sell. And it just like it fueled me because I was like, yo, everybody else was selling their stuff. I had to go to moms and stuff, right? I had to go to my folks to like, yo, can you help me out because like I didn't get enough to sell. And you know, you just kind of like I didn't even revisit entrepreneurship until like middle school because you had phone pauses came out again because I think they was called the dopes back in the 90s because only the dope dealers could get them. And so they came back with them back in middle school, and I'm like, yo, I'm trying to flip shoes, and that's where it really started because I'm like, yo, I can get one pair of shoes, flip those to get another pair of shoes, flip those to get an even better pair of shoes, and I eventually got the electric blues when they came out, and I was psyched because everybody wanted them Jones. So it's like that me missing out in elementary school when the next time around, like when the next time came around, I was just like, nah, I need to make the money because like I don't want to have to go to my parents to ask for shoe money and stuff like that. What about you, Demille?
Oh man, I wish I had those adolescent stories like you guys had, but I don't. What made me want to be an entrepreneur was actually I do kind of have an adolescent story.
I'm about to say everybody had to have
It's
that candy stuff.
no, I was never a hustler as a kid, never,
True.
never hustled nothing.
True.
But as a youngin, still to this day, I just like to be my own boss. You know, I never wanted to follow orders from no one. Like still to this day, I don't like people giving me orders.
Right.
And you know, as an employee, you that's what you're paid to do. Follow orders, follow directions. And so I was rebellious. Like as a kid, like it's like why are you telling me this? Like to my parents. So but I think the first time I made some money was an adult. I started wholesaling real estate. And so like that first check, I got $5,000 from wholesaling a property in Baltimore.
Right.
Like I put the property under contract. Before I got it under contract, I never went up to go see the property. When I went up to go see the property, it's in a neighborhood where it's like it's Baltimore City. It's like a lot of boarded up houses on this block. I'm like, man, dog, I wasted my time. Ain't nobody really gonna buy this property. Somebody bought it.
That's crazy.
Somebody bought it. I think I put it under contract for 15. Somebody bought it for 20. I made 5,000. Now, me being my first deal, didn't know that the buyer's supposed to pay all closing costs. No, we did split closing costs. Just ignorance. So my $5,000 went to like maybe 44. But still, like once I got that first check, I was like,
oh, this is different.
Yo, I like
different.
this. You know, so that's more my story.
I think that's a good not like comparison because like you got people who start as a kid, you got people who start in their teens, you got people that start as an adult. So it really don't matter where you start. It's as long as you really just recognize like there's more to it than a job.
Right.
And I was telling somebody this. I was like, yo, I ain't never seen nobody save their way to be rich. Right? You can save to like try to be wealthy and like, oh, I got $1 million, but Earn Your Leisure just came out. It's like to raise a new family, it's $3.4 million. So the $1 million ain't even like that's not wealthy. That's just you still struggling paycheck to paycheck.
So actually, you can never save to be rich because, like, if you talk to anyone like in the financial world, and like I finished reading a Bigger Pockets book. I think I read it a couple months ago, but it's like the time value of money.
Right.
So by the time you save $1 million in 10 years, that $1 million now worth $700,000.
Right.
And so you can't save your way to wealthy because again, the time that you save, inflation, you know.
gonna eat
So
at
yeah, exactly. So
At the rate we going.
exactly right. So you have to invest your way into being wealthy.
Yeah. So, speaking of investing, I think it would be remiss if we didn't talk about our investment, which is the new name of the podcast.
Exactly. So we're doing this again. Like we just had a name change, but you know what?
It's part of growing.
Yeah, it's part of growing, and so we're gonna keep, you know, perfecting this, right? So we're no longer the Millennial Mogul Mindset podcast. That was kind of a long podcast name anyway. Pause. So we're going to change from the new name is OPA to OPM.
What does that mean?
OPA means other people's audience, and I will shout out to our last guest, Markel Gales, and he gave us this name, and that was a dope name. To other people's money. So other people's audience leads to other people's money.
Right.
And so I was like, yo, that's catchy. I think we should use that. You know, it's different because our last name, there was, if not the exact same name,
Similar.
there were very similar variations of it. And so
before we dive more into it with Ron, what does OPA to OPM mean to you?
wow, that's a dope question. OPA. So honestly, like what this is OPA. So there may be, so we're going to promote this podcast, right? Because it's ours, you know, and Ron was going to perform because this is free content for him, right?
Right.
This is a way to build a bigger name to attract more clientele for more income, right? And so we're going to be introduced to Ron's audience, right? And so through Ron, he may introduce us or introduce people to our broadcast, right? And so that can lead to new people being interested in our podcast and basically
new business
ventures
new
that we couldn't walk in and through the door ourselves. We had to be introduced to. You know, they trust Ron more because they know Ron.
Right.
You know, so that's what it means to me.
Okay. So speaking on that, want to introduce our guest. We did an episode with him before, but unfortunately we had some technical issues. But speaking of other people's audience, Ron's been featured in other podcasts, bigger podcasts, the Bigger Pockets podcast as well.
Exactly.
So without further ado, our guest Ron. Ron, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you've been, what you're looking to get into, and where you're headed.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Thanks for having me. I love that, man. OPM is one of my favorite sayings. My favorite rapper, Dom Kennedy, put me onto that. OPM be the click.
I love
Other people's money. I like that. Other OPA to OPM. But yeah, so Ron Curtis, born and raised in Washington, D.C., native Washingtonian. Went to school at Virginia Commonwealth, majored in business. I'm pretty much a 9-to-5-preneur. I work for the D.C. government full time. And pretty much when I get off work, I'm working on my business. I'm a financial doctor in a sense. I help people with their finances. They come to me with problems. But one of my main focuses right now is focusing on housing, a housing consultant, short-term and mid-term rentals, by leveraging other people's properties to create cash flow.
Okay.
It's kind of like OPA to OPM. Right?
I was about to, definitely.
Yeah. So Ron actually helps me manage my Airbnb. So if you have any Airbnbs that you're trying to get managed, definitely reach out to him. And I guess we'll put in your information, like your socials and stuff. Where can people reach you at?
You guys can follow me on TikTok, Dr_financial, spelled the regular way. And on Instagram, Wavy Stays LLC.
Okay. Most definitely, we will put those in the video. So we both share similar. We both work for DC government, different agencies. But what made you? Let me rephrase that. How do you juggle working for the a city government versus finding time to be an entrepreneur?
I would say first you definitely have to find a work-life balance, right? So there's 24 hours in the day. Oftentimes I'm at work from 8 to 4, and I'm helping people from 5 to 10, right? Whether I'm visiting properties, taking consultations, doing things of that nature. But all in all, you have to have the right people in place. You have to have the right systems in place. And you have to have the right processes in place that can help you duplicate yourself in a sense so you can scale.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Because a lot of times we hear things like you got your 9 to 5, and then you got your 5 to 9, and it's very tricky and it's very difficult because you gotta have. And I saw your background screen, the motivation, right? The motivation and discipline where you're. And for you guys who can't see, it's a graph, right? Where you got the motivation starts up high and then it slowly comes down, goes up a little bit, and then it comes right back down. And honestly, I can be a testament to that because, like today or most days, like as soon as it gets cold out or as soon as it gets dark out, I'm like, bro, I don't feel motivated to go to the gym. I don't feel motivated to like really hustle and grind from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. the way that I used to because it's like, nah. But not even that. It's just like people on the regular just lose that motivation.
Right.
They lose that discipline. They lose that hustle, that grind because you got to work so much on yourself. You got to work on your family. You got to work on your mental state. You got to work on your physical state. You got to work on so much of this stuff and still pay bills and still manage a household. So to both of you guys, what's your view on trying to manage all this stuff? Because again, you either have the time before work or after work. What's your guys' thoughts on like trying to juggle that scenario?
I could go first. I would say mine is a little easier just because of what I do. I'm a first responder, so I work 2 days a week. So, like, I have 5 days dedicated to myself and my business. And so, it's just staying disciplined. Honestly, and it's something I'm still working on, right? Because it's easy to get motivated, right? You read a book, you watch a motivational video on YouTube. Like it's easy to get motivated. The hard thing is being dedicated to it. Like one of my favorite rappers, you spoke of Dom Kennedy. My favorite rappers is Nipsey Hussle, and like one of his things he says is one of his songs is dedication. And then an interview that really touched me, when he said like the biggest difference between him and other people is he didn't quit. And he said, I went through every emotion trying to get to a certain point. Like when he dropped his debut album, his first and only album, unfortunately, he just said like I didn't quit. Like and I like his story is something that really inspires me, man. Like he, from inner city, Los Angeles, grew up in gang culture.
Right.
Got into the music industry, signed to a major label. It didn't work out, and so a lot of people stopped there. Like it didn't work out on a major, so you never hear from him again, right? But he just started over. And he built his own business. He built his own company, and he grinded his way into the major labels. They dropped him, but now they're knocking on his door at a certain point. And so that's like inspiration. And so honestly, that just fuels me. Like I have a picture of in my office of one Nipsey Hussle where it say "Hustle and Motivate." On the other side, I have my American Express. Fox poster would say "Take risks," that's just a way, just striving to stay dedicated for me.
Nah, that's dope. I ain't even know all that about Nipsey. That's fire. That just motivated me for real. With me, I would say margins. I go to Mount Zion Baptist Church, and the pastor Keith Battle. He preached his sermon on margins that was dope. And he preached it on the latter part of the year, but I wish I would have heard it early in the year. So, like, you can definitely burn yourself out by pouring into too many things, right? So, we all hustlers sitting right here the legal way, right? And we all serial entrepreneurs. We constantly thinking of ways, to buy our time back. And oftentimes when you're doing that, you can get caught up in the passion of what you're doing and burning yourself out, not taking care of yourself, your body, not getting enough sleep, not eating, like not focusing on your loved ones, your family, your friends, things that really are important. So one thing I had to do was just scale down and niche down and focus on one thing, the thing that made the most sense to me, the thing that felt the most, that felt the best, no homes, right? And that's how I was able to start to create margins in my life and still forming them, and also prioritizing things. Like everybody can't go. Like sometimes it's okay to say no. And one thing I've been doing that's practicing margins. If you don't got it to give, nah, and not financially, just emotionally, physically, etc. Right? And there's so much power in just telling people no and standing on business for what you believe in.
No, that's a good like topic where it's just like standing on that, understanding who you are, understanding where you're trying to go, but also the power of saying no. I think a lot of times we get so caught up, especially as like being young, fresh in the entrepreneurship, like excited, trying to see the opportunities and stuff like that, where you're just kind of like, oh, I want to do that, I want to do that, I want to do that. And so you're just trying to like really just identify what it is that you're really trying to focus on, because it's so hard for us to focus on stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a skill you have to acquire though. Is to be able to say no.
Right.
Like, cause I know for me, especially as a young, I was like a people pleaser, and so I didn't want to say no because I felt like if I said no, I was letting someone else down, right? Instead of looking out for my best interest, you know, I stretched myself thin, just trying to be a nice person. And so I'm glad you said that. Like, that's a skill you have to acquire. Just be able to say no and then stand on it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, once you say no, they try to guilt trip you, or they try to make it seem like
Are you're not good enough for this
yeah,
opportunity?
like you're wrong in no.
Yeah.
And so it's a skill, like to say no and then stand on it, stand firm on it.
Yeah, because that, like I said, at the end of the day, it's like there's so many opportunities out there that it's very difficult to limit the focus on something. Also, before I forget, you spoke on something. We were talking about it before we started rolling cameras and stuff, where there's the opportunity where you can take advantage of during those times where nobody's asking you for those times, right? So you have the times where people are going to be asking you for those things.
Close to the mic.
There's going to be those times where there's people going to be asking you for your time, but then there's times where people can't ask you for your time because they're asleep, they're tired, they're not awake, they're busy, whatever. So, and I was bringing this up because like I was talking to this one girl and she was trying to study for IT certifications, right? And she was saying that she worked overnight as a security guard. I was like, yo, when you think about it, you're in like a prime position to really go at it because you're working that graveyard shift, right?
Everybody sleep, there's no interruptions.
Right. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't have enough time, because we were talking about like there's 24 hours in a day, and people are like, oh, I don't have time. It's like, well, as long as you say you don't have time, you're not going to have the time. But if you find a way to find that time, right? Because we were talking about how I'm remote and you're on site. And I started getting away from listening to podcasts, following up on certain things, right? Listening to those things in those dead times to kill that dead space, to learn something new, to learn a new skill, to learn a new idea. You were talking about the bigger pockets thing you were talking about?
Yeah. So like what I realized a while ago when I was going to a dead end job that I hated was when I'm listening to rap music on the way to work, it's but so much he could tell me. Meek Mill could say screaming in my speakers, right? on the real. And like you hit it right on the nose. You said like now that you're not teleworking, and now that you telework remote, it's like it's so much dead space. And when you're driving to work, when you're sitting at a desk, a cubicle, there's so much dead space in your mind that can be going on. So what I love doing is learning. So I'm feeding my mind subconsciously, right? Whether I'm typing something, whether I'm not paying attention, let me run that back. Hold up, that caught my attention. And what I'm realizing is, like, I want to be retired tomorrow. right? But my goal is retire by 35 from the corporate world. And it's like, what I realized, it's not going to happen as fast as I thought. But every single day, I'm putting in some type of rep. It may not be me maxing out every fucking day, but every single day, I'm putting in some type of rep to get me one step closer. Then I know, even driving to work every morning, listen to motivational videos or listen to the stuff, like, it's all a part of this process. I'm just building those calluses and putting in those reps. Because it's necessary. Like, I hear all these dudes, like, one common denominator I hear of every person that I would say is somebody I'm looking at in the industry. They all saying 10 years.
Yeah.
Take no less than a decade. You're a clown if you think it's going to be less than 10 years.
You know, it's crazy you just said that, because I'm reading one of the books he loved to recommend, and it said create a 10-year plan in traction. And so, and as I was reading, I just read this last night into this morning, and I was like, yo, I want to do that here, because I want to transform this. We're starting out in what would you call this? A recreational room in an apartment building.
No, I call it what it is. It's a 2-story sports bar. We living good.
Sports bar. This is a fucking sports bar.
Well, it's a sports bar in like a public
2-story,
but it's public to every
resident.
Every resident.
Not outside. You can't come in.
Exactly.
You can, but you will pay.
Exactly. Well, look, they live here. I don't live here.
You won't pay.
I'm not one of the. I'm a brokey. But nah. But like I see where
it's grassroots.
Like we're grassroots. But I see where Earn Your Leisure is. I see where Bigger Pockets is. I see where
what's my man's name?
Dave Shine? Oh, no.
Nah, Xavier
Social
Miller.
Proof. Yeah, Social Proof.
Miller, Millionaire Mindset Podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm saying all these places, and I have similar goals for this.
Right.
I have similar expectations for this. Now, I ain't gonna say goals. I have expectations, because as I get better, as we get better, we're gonna definitely upgrade the quality, and we're gonna get better at doing this. So like yeah, man. I forgot where I was going with that.
It's about putting in them reps.
Yeah,
That's the only way to get better.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I was going to bring that up where you talk about bringing in the reps. Now I'll say this: this podcast will not be anything without DeMille, right? Because I can't tell y'all how many times where I'd be like, man, I don't feel like recording. I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing interviews. I might do one and I'm done. DeMille's like, hey, run it back. Let's keep going.
Man, I be want to do 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of people lose that motivation to keep going because, like you said, they burn out. Burn out from life, burn out from just trying to execute their goals. And we have that 10-year mark where it's also that 10,000-hour rule, right? So most times I had to do the math, but if you break down 10,000 hours, that can translate to 10 years, right? Relatively, plus or minus a year or two. So it's like, talk about that and where people may not see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, 10 years is a long time to be in business for yourself. There's a lot of ups and downs that come with that 10 years.
10 years is a long time. Like they say, most businesses don't even make it to the first 5.
Right.
So if you make it to 10 years, you go back to that Nipsey quote. You done went through every emotion. You went through every emotion.
You know what's crazy? Visualizing stuff is not one of my strengths. And it's like, it's so weird. I'm 30. I know who I want to be and where I want to be in 10 years, but I cannot see 10 years. I can't see in the next year. And it's like, that's tough for me, but like, what I can see is like the creation of now for the next step. It's weird. Like, I got a friend, he's creating an app. He's been working on it for like 5 years. And he knows I'm going to be worth $100 million. He may have a $15 hour job now, but he knows I can see it, bro. I'm just one joint venture away. I'm one angel investor meeting away, like trying to meet with NBA players and shit. I'm like, nigga, I believe you, bro, because you can see this shit.
Right.
See the passion.
Like I can see it. Why he's sitting there doing his little clerical tasks, and I'm like, bro, his girl don't believe him, his friends don't believe him. I'm like, bro, the way you talk about that shit, bro, you're gonna do that shit, and it's like everybody got their own gift, and it's like for me that's why it's hard for me to. Well, now I'm starting to humble myself. It's hard for me to see, damn, 10 more years of this bullshit. And I'm like, damn, I ain't been doing this shit 2 years. Motherfuckers look at me and think I'll be doing it for 10 years. But it's like,
right.
I think I'm just I have a different purpose where I don't feel that. I feel like, nigga, you 10 years behind right now. Why you ain't know about Airbnb when you was 20? When you was partying at Airbnb? You see what I'm saying? But that's not what it's about. But it's like, I think that drive is what pushes me in. I live in motivation, and I feel like that's childish.
You say it again?
The reason this is on my screen, so let me break it down to y'all.
I need you to send that to me because I'm going to put that in.
It's been on my screen for a year, and I'm doing it for subconscious. But basically, we think motivation, right, creates discipline. It doesn't. Consistency creates discipline. In order to be disciplined, you have to be consistent. You can't be consistently motivated.
Right.
I just there's no explanation for that. But
motivation wears.
It's not consistent. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like a lot of people, not even the average person, everybody, the average person lives on this side. They're consistently up and down.
Right.
And I'm just trying to get to a point where, you get on the discipline, you got your little dips, but like never 2 days back to back.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to like, that's who I see myself in 10 years, like trying to, and then even try, you just got to do, but form myself into that person that I see in my mind. But like when you say around 10 years from now, what you gonna be? Right now I'm gonna say, man, I'm gonna have 500 Airbnb properties. But I may own fucking hotels. Like, I don't, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And when people say, write down 10-year goals, nigga, I just wrote down my 2024 goals. Well, leading up to the year, it's 8 things on a piece of paper. Right. Find a doctor, do your P&L, get your books done, renew your short-term rental license so you can print money. It's like stuff like that, but it's hard for me to visualize, make a 5-year plan. Nigga, 5 years ago, I didn't think I was gonna be doing this. You see what I'm saying? So it's hard. I don't know. How's that for y'all though? Like, I don't know if that was a lot, but it's hard for me to like visualize that stuff.
Me, I can visualize things, but my thing is what your graph shows is the consistency and putting in the reps, right? Like I can visualize. Like I think people who know me know like my passion is in like real estate. Like that's what I want to do. Like I can sit and watch HGTV shows about like developing, like rehabbing a house. Like my goal is to one day is to build like a skyscraper. Like that is like my ultimate goal, right? But I want to build something, like put my name on it, like we own it. And so it's easy for me to visualize things. It's the hard part for me is writing things down and then being disciplined. Like one of my challenges right now is to lose like 60 to 80 pounds. I want to lose it next year, right? And so, like I've been going to the gym for the past month, but I haven't. Like I may go 2 times a week, 3 times a week.
Right.
But with my schedule, there's always gonna be one day or a couple of days of the week I can't go. But the other days,
it's tough. There's no excuse.
So like for example, if I work Monday, I work 24 hours. That Tuesday morning, like I'm supposed to hit the gym at 8:30 in the morning. But that, especially if I say if I'm on an ambulance and we get beat down on that Monday night. I don't want to wake up and go to the gym. Like I want to go home and go to sleep. It's just staying disciplined and say, well, no, you can go to sleep, but take your rest at the gym first.
Right.
Then go home and go to sleep.
That's the tough part.
That is the tough part. Like I've done it. It's just, and what happened was I was in a routine at one point in the gym, but then COVID hit, and I've never regained that discipline. And so now I'm working to get back to that point where I'm up and doing it. This is discipline for me. Well, not this part because I like this part, but I was telling you like the editing part, or the YouTube thumbnails part, like that stuff where I'm not naturally creative. Because that stuff is a challenge for me. Like if I could, I would outsource all this stuff, But but I'm not because, well, YouTube thumbnail part I may, but with the editing, hey, I'm learning a new skill, and with that skill, maybe I can leverage that to make some more OPM. Right. So it's just that, man. It's just it's easy to visualize, but it's just staying consistent is what it's what gets me. Even with the intentional journal, I don't write it every week or every day like I'm supposed to. Like today, I scheduled my whole day. I scheduled my whole week, and so, but will I do it every day this week? Right. That's the consistency part. Yeah. But go ahead.
I have a different approach. So for me, mine's a little more cliche. Where it's like, even since I was young, I knew I was going to be something, right? And I had such strong conviction about it that to some people it was cocky, right? To some people it was just like arrogance, right?
I think, but that's not to cut you off, but I get called arrogant a lot, right? But what I like to say is
it arrogant if you got the results to prove it though?
I felt the same way coming up. I was born for a purpose. Yeah. Like I was always smart.
Don't call my confidence arrogance because you just dream too little.
Right. That's a good one. That's a good one. So, but yeah, so like with me, I knew it. Like something in me was like, nah, this is you. And I remember watching like MTV Cribs with my peoples. And I'm like, nah, one day I'm gonna own a house like that. My moms would be like, that Bentley, that this, that, right? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna own one. And then every year I would find a way to get into something that'd be like, this could put me on that path. When I was young, I was like, yo, the military can put me on a path where I can own a Bentley at 30, because by the time I get 30 years old, a Bentley's gonna be $30,000. I can go get one, right? And then the next year it's like, all right, well, cool. I was so open to ideas, and some parts I was gullible, right? Some parts people be like, they could sell me a dream, and I'd be like, all right, bet I'm gonna rock with it, and I'm gonna do it. But the thing that was a little different for me was I got so, and my mentor pointed this out. He's like, Alex, I don't know if you do this on purpose or you just like obliviously do it, but you don't have a problem looking stupid in front of somebody. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, if you don't know something, it doesn't matter if it's somebody off the street, a millionaire or a billionaire. You're going to sit there and be like, nah. And you're going to stop them and tell them, no, run that back. Explain that to me like I'm dumb.
As you should.
Right. And I've done that with millionaires and billionaires. Like, when I got into network marketing, I met a guy named Harold Seitz, billionaire, right? And I was like, no, you said something, run that back. And so I got exposed to greatness from a black perspective at a very young age, right? And I give credit to my mom about this because she put me in front of a mentor at a very young age, right? When I think I was like 16, 17, right? Right before I went to college. And they were speaking so much life into me. They're like, yo, you're so articulate. Like, you're so just like meticulous about certain things. And that kind of stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, I am that thing. So as I had older people starting to talk to me and speaking life into me, it stuck with me. And I was like, nah, you're right. I am meticulous. I am dedicated. I am motivated. I am this. And so to keep up with that persona that I'm now portraying in myself from somebody else speaking life into me, I started putting the actions behind it, which then kept me motivated because I was disciplined so long, where I was trying to impress them, but impress myself, right, to be like, nah, I can do this. I can do the thing that you're saying I can do.
Okay. I don't mind going over a little bit over ours. Since the first couple minutes was just rambling. Oh, not just rambling. We was just talking.
Yeah.
But do you have a time where you need to bounce?
Yeah, let's just knock out the last 10 then.
Okay.
All right, cool.
What y'all want to talk about? Let's talk about real estate. Let's talk about real
that's-
estate for the last 10.
I love real estate.
10-minute real estate play.
That's dope.
I can segue into that.
Okay.
So I wanted to be those things that people were telling me to be. And then in college at Bowie State, freshman year, run into this black guy, and he's like, look, you see that, we're at the gym. He's like, you see that Porsche outside? I was like, yeah, I was wondering whose car that was. That's nice. It was a Porsche Macan. I was like, it's nice. He's like, yeah, I bought that with real estate. And when he told me that, I'm like, wait a minute, a black guy who doesn't have a job, who's in real estate, which I thought was a scam at the time, right? Because everybody was just saying, because this was like after '08, so everybody's like, nah, real estate's a scam. So I'm like, wait a minute, you're defying everything that everybody's saying, and at that time I was defiant, right? I was still in that adolescent defiant age, but I wanted to learn more about real estate. And as I started learning more about real estate, I learned that the power of what it can do, it can turn you into a rich person, it can turn you into a wealthy person, it can also turn you into a broke person. And so it was a very interesting dynamic, because now you say, oh, I want to get into real estate, just like if you say IT. There's so many different facets: wholesaling, Airbnb, long-term investing, mid-term investing, short-term investing, hotels, boutiques, right? All these different things. And it's like trying to figure out what's that one thing where it's like, if I could do this, everything else would be obsolete or easier.
Okay.
Shout out Gary Keller.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's your thoughts on real estate to get you to that end goal, even though you may still have a job, a side hustle, and something else?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I go first. Honestly, real estate is gonna retire me and my family, and I would say it did it by accident. It's gonna do it by accident, and the reason being is because I think from the time I was in college and I started learning about real estate, the first program I heard about was NACA, and I learned about house hacking. When I worked at DC Water, this dude named Randy, he's a big realtor in the DMV area. He worked with me in HR, and he was like, Ron, you need to get you a multi-unit with NACA. I don't even think he was a realtor yet. And he told me about how he got a crib and he house hacked and he live in one, rent out the other three. And I'm like, damn, that sounds like the play. He kept telling me. So I got in the program, learned about it, found out my money was too skinny. Oh, you only make 50 racks a year. You can't qualify for nothing but 200,000. Well, I'm going to buy a $200,000 house in Washington, D.C. in 2015, 2016, right? So that motivated me to, one, increase my income, and two, research as many programs that was out there that I had access to. So long story short, I bought a house in D.C. that was turnkey, ready to go, fully renovated, and I spent $3,700 on the house because I leveraged first-time homebuyer programs. So when I got into real estate, they gave me about $30,000 for the crib because I was a D.C. government employee and I was buying in D.C. It allowed me to, like, my main goal was to get out my parents' crib. It was like, I got little brothers behind me, let me learn how to house hack because I don't want to pay rent because I never paid rent. I wasn't paying rent, right? And I was like, I got to get out my people's crib. And I bought that house and fell in love with house hacking. The reason I say it's going to retire my family and myself is because me buying that house in the hood and turning my basement into an Airbnb has changed my life because I was able to replicate that model and cookie cut it across properties all over the world. And I've only been in Mexico. I'm trying to get in some properties in South America right now. This lady playing with me. But I'm saying that to say, like, if I'd have never thought about house hacking, if I'd have never had that combo, matter of fact, it was Randy and my boy Lamar. He had bought a building. Lamar bought a building through NACA as well. Then Randy worked with me. I pulled up on Lamar. He showed me the building. He out there cutting grass. Like, this is my building, bro. Like, that's fire to see somebody you went to high school with, you went to middle school with, you work with. and both of them are well off in real estate now, and it's making me realize like all it is a numbers game. They say 90% of millionaires in this country get their real estate through or get their wealth through real estate.
Exactly.
90% of millionaires get their wealth from real estate, so it's like
And
a
I would
no-brainer.
say that 100% preserve their wealth, their real estate.
As we talking right now, I just got a booking request. And that's why real estate's so powerful. It's passive income, 24/7.
And y'all seen he on the screen. He's been here for the last hour, so he didn't do anything to make that. Well, for me, right, I have a similar outlook on real estate and startup. Like, I'm also a DC government employee, so I actually bought my house in 2019. No money down.
I was say you brought in prime time.
Yeah, 2019, no money down. I got 30K from one of the programs I use because I'm a first responder, but I also got another 32K from another program. So I was able to combine two programs from DC offered. Yeah, and I was able to get in at a good time, like you said, 2019. But yeah, man, I feel the same way about real estate. Like my dream is to own like 30 unit buildings, 60 unit buildings, 1,000 unit, like that is my goal. And I want to use real estate to catapult me to other industries as well. But yeah, like I just see it's just too many successful people in real estate. Like it's just you see so many people, man, and they all like stand by real estate. Like that's what they are. That's what they do. I would say this, like definitely I bought a similar turnkey property. If I had knew better, I wouldn't have bought my property though. I would have bought something where I had to do a little bit of work, got a little bit cheap, got it a little cheaper, but I would have got a little bit more sweat equity. Where that would have, in turn, I could have bought cheaper, and I would have learned some things where I can afford to mess up more. Right. My own personal home, I will say this: I love how Ron does his. Like he makes money on real estate without actually having to own the bricks. Like that is dope. Yeah. Like he doesn't have to take the risk of anything. Just the mortgage, anything like on all the risk like that. So that is dope. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, same thing. I like having to own it, but at the same time, like there's a lot of times where you don't want to have that overhead, right? Because you don't want to have something, the roof leaking, refrigerator broke. I had water coming into my basement. So it's like a lot of stuff where I had to physically do that, but I get more equity on the back end than if I didn't own that piece.
Right.
But I got to carry more of that headache, more stress, more,
It's trade-offs.
It's trade-offs.
Yeah.
So it's like it all depends on your risk factor and what you want to like tolerate and stuff like that.
I think for me, my fault to cut you off.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that, that's definitely another episode that we can do. It's just strictly Airbnb and like how people can get into it, the benefits, pros and cons of that as well.
Definitely interested in bringing back Ron for that episode and other guests that could speak on that. I think for me, man, I don't mind risk as from previous episodes and previous videos you can see. I don't mind risk, so I like owning the bricks, man. Yeah. I want to own bricks, and so. But yeah, man, this is another dope episode. A lot of gems in this episode. Thank you for Ron for coming in and bringing some gems to us and just giving us his time and being gracious because he didn't have to come back after the last episode where we had some technical difficulties. But I appreciate him, man.
I appreciate y'all for having me. I'm happy to be the first episode of the rebrand. Like I said, OPM, that's my favorite motto. So we might need to call this episode OPM.
I like that.
Yes,
OPM episode. I like that. The new
OPM
brand. And start off the new episode with the rebrand with the episode of the brand. So I like that.
For sure. DeMille, you want to close this out?
All right, man. Thank y'all for checking out another episode of, or the first episode of OPA to OPM. Man, that name is just sounds, it's easier to remember. It just sounds a lot better than the millennial mindset mode. I still say it wrong. Thank y'all. Check out the next episode. We got some dope episodes coming up. We got a financial planner coming up, and we have a therapist coming up. So, and that could speak to like the mindset of how to be an entrepreneur and the ups and downs. So, I think that's going to be a dope episode. The financial planner as well. So, thanks for joining us, and peace. See you next time.